Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Duels Across the Stars. This episode today, we will be talking about our top 5 friendships across the Star Trek and Star Wars franchises. Um, we're our hosts. We're your hosts. I am Olympus, and this is
I'm Ben, and we certainly are your hosts. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking about friendships. Um, yeah, this is a great topic. Many friendships out there. Where I was about to give you examples, but let's get into our 5 examples each. So where we go from our fifth. Well, I'm not going to say. I was going to say fifth favorite, but it might not be favorite. Let's see that first.
mm,
We do a thing called rules, so it could be our most enjoyable. It could be our 5 underrated because that's what we've decided to do. But tell you what, I was going to say let's go into that, but yeah, tell you what, let's go into that. Olympus, what is your? Do you make any rules?
no, short and sweet again this time.
That was fair enough.
It had to. I'm going to try and describe this properly, and I'll probably fail miserably. It had to be characters who have a very clear friendship, and you have scenarios that happen throughout the shows or the movies that show that they are friends, as opposed to colleagues at work. There has to be that something special, something different about them that brings them a little bit closer together. That's about as specific as my rules got. What about you? What have you sort of set out as your rules of acquisition?
I did try to make some rules to thin it down, but I could not make it. I couldn't even make it a long friendship over multiple shows or films. I couldn't even go. It's my favorite, the best ones. It's just 5 I've really enjoyed throughout both franchises, and I don't think I could do without any of these being in the franchises, to be honest. So
Um, I would probably say the same about all of my picks too, actually. So I'll steal that off you.
fair enough. Thank you. Anyway, if you want to see more things like this, please subscribe and follow. That would be very much appreciated. We've got 20 over oh no over 30 episodes now of similar kinds of content, and hopefully a lot more to come. So please look out for that. And shall we get into our list then?
Yes, we
Uh,
shall. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first? I don't mind.
I'll tell you what, I'll go first because I just want to get this pronunciation over and done with. And yeah, yeah. And this is from one film with I, I believe they have had some other mentions slash references, I believe, but they came in via one film, and that is Sharut and Baze from Rogue One. So if you've got no idea who I'm on about, this is the one that goes. You've got these are two, basically two monks. Um, from there, one of them is the one who goes, the force. I am was the force, and the force is with me. So it's the blind guy with the stick, and you have his long-haired friend with the big gun. Um, you can take that however you want to, but they are always together. They look after each other. They they've got to the stage where you see them that they joke together. They're funny together. Like I think when you see them both together, um, Turret has just had knocked down a load of stormtroopers. Um, when K2SO, Jyn Erso, and Andor is coming to town and realise somebody spotted them and they're trying to make an escape. Um, and he clears all these stormtroopers out. And suddenly a load more come through. And his friend Baze basically shoots them all down. It's like, you nearly shot me. And it's like, Baze says, you're welcome. as in you should have joking in a friend way. How to do it. Anyway, any thoughts, Olympus?
So when you said the names, I had no idea who you were talking about, but as soon as you described them, I know exactly who you're talking about. And yeah, they're a lovely friendship between the two of them. Their dynamic was really, really good. Their chemistry was great throughout that movie, and it was lovely, which just made the scene, for anyone who's not watched this, go away and watch it. But the scene towards the end, all the more heartbreaking. It really, yeah, it brings tears to your eyes. But as I said, um, it's because they get that chemistry between those two friends so right. So no, great first choice, mate, in your top five.
Yeah, no, they definitely got it spot on, and I like to see what your number five is in comparison.
Yes, my number five is Luke and Han. Um, so Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. I can just feel all of the original series, Star Wars fans booing me and hissing me for only having them at number five. But I'm sorry that, like, from a chemistry point of view, they were great to hit the top five, but they just every other friendship I've got on my list, I feel have a better chemistry. So yeah, but it was lovely
Oh,
how
fair enough.
they went from two people who didn't really like each other and they were a bit antagonistic with each other and didn't really have much time, because they were totally different people with totally different interests and totally different ways of looking at life, and then all that's in A New Hope. By the time you get to Return of the Jedi, they really are good friends who care for each other. They've sacrificed each other. Sacrificed themselves, I guess, for each other in different ways by that point as well. They've encountered the same or similar hardships and whatnot, and they've become a really good team. And yeah, you can just see that friendship really strengthened through those movies, which is why I think it's a shame that you never really get to see them together in the sequel trilogy. But can't do anything about that. Is what it is. I just think that they missed a bit of a trick there. If you look at the fan service in the sequel trilogy compared to the fan service in, say, Star Trek Picard season three, you know, Picard season three did it right, um, where the sequel trilogy probably fell down at a couple of points, and I'd say that whole scenario where they could have got Luke and Han back together for a little bit was probably one of those points. But yeah, that's my number five.
Yeah, no, they are a great partnership. I can probably see why they didn't join them together in the films for various reasons. A, to give the the new three the front of the film,
Yeah,
but also in law you have Han Solo going off, hiding away, doing his smuggling job, and Luke going off and hiding away from everybody, doing his thing. They're hiding away from reality because he can't cope anymore.
yeah, it's
So I can probably see
anti-Jedi
why they did.
thing.
Yeah, but a great friendship, a great buddy system that you see grow up through the trilogy films there, and no, very good, very good. I'm glad you picked them.
Thank you. So, on to your number four.
I've got another couple. Oh, I'm calling them couple, and to be honest, for some people they are a couple. These two got brought up through, instead of a film franchise, they got brought up through a TV series, and they got first introduced together on one of the characters. The first time we see him, probably I think it's third or fourth episode into this 7 season arc, and this was at a meal in the Rectamant on Deep Space Nine, and this is Garrick and Julian Bashir on Deep Space Nine. You have this strange Cardassian coming. Oh, it's the only Cardassian on this former Cardassian station coming up to this guy, and you can almost say he's being creepy. And it's like, you could tell he's up to something, and Dr. Bashir knows he's up to something. He even says it to the guys on the bridge. Is on the it's not the bridge, but in their command center. It's like, that spot. Or the people believe he's like, they have absolutely no idea whether he is or not. Um, it's like, yeah, he approached me. It's like, yeah, it's like we know his reputation, but if you're gonna try to pretend that if you're gonna come to us with something that he's done, we need more than he came and said hello to you in the reprimand, reprimand. But their continued interactions over the years, whether that's at holodocs programs like Dr. Bashir's James Bond franchise, their meals, um, when Garrick was farewell and Dr. Bashir looked after him, their visit to Caldassia Prime. Was it Caldassia Prime or one of the? Oh no, it was Bajor where they had the former leftover children who were nobody wanted anymore. That were half Cardassian, half Bajoran, um, and they're trying to solve a problem. You had all this back and forth between each other and hidden friendships and out front friendships. It was just a. I'm finding it hard to put it exactly into words, but it was just that repartee between this sweet innocent doctor to this not so innocent spy who has seen everything and done everything, and them having their passing on each other's life experience to each other, and it's going on through the 7 seasons of the show. Anyway, I it's my number 4 pick. So, any thoughts, Olympus?
Again, brilliant choice. And I mean, Garrick in particular is probably one of my favorite characters in DS9 because of that intrigue and that gravitas that he carries. Um, no, I've got nothing else to say. You've rounded it off beautifully. I totally agree with you on every point. So, on to my number 4. I'm going to go back to Star Wars and talk very briefly about Finn and Poe. Finn being the former stormtrooper who abandons his post in not the last Jedi, in the Force Awakens, and Poe Dameron, who's the Resistance pilot, meant to be the sort of best pilot in the Resistance. It's this whole gung ho, flashy Han Solo ish type guy. Um, is a very interesting dynamic. You wouldn't expect those two characters to sort of mix and get on well with each other, but they do. They get on very, very well. And again, it's something else probably about the sequels. I would have liked to have seen more of a development on the two of them. It kind of jumps a little bit across each of the movies, but it is lovely to see how their character development grows together and their friendship becomes so strong. Um, but I would say it's their friendship is one of the things that kept me watching at particular points through that sequel trilogy, and I really, really wish that we got to see an awful lot more of it. It feels like it was lacking that, so that's I guess a pick where you see enough that I like it, but it's one of those. Why didn't you give us more of that? I want to see more of that.
I like those. Yeah, from Force Awakens, they were a great pair, great friendship that grew on. Last Jedi as well, especially towards the beginning. You, actually, throughout it, I would say their friendship was there. Um, it didn't have to be in the forefront for that, but you can see it was there. But the last one, yeah, I would have liked to have seen it. It
In
didn't
the
have to
last
be
one, there was
much, but I would have liked to see more.
more of it. Yeah, I think the last one was they tried to jam pack so much into that last movie that there just wasn't really an opportunity to do anything with them, which was a real shame.
and I completely agree. Yeah, and they needed something else. But yeah, I like it. I like the way Poe gave Finn a name, and Finn actually liked it. It wasn't just like, oh, I have to put up with this name because somebody gave it to me. Um, it was they were happy to see each other when they met back up after getting split. Um, yeah, there was generally a good relationship there. And to be honest, I think both of our number four picks could have been awesome fanfic slash fics
Yeah. Yeah, you're
romances.
right. It could have been. Absolutely could have been.
Yeah. Anyway, number three picks, I believe.
Yes, on you go, mate. What's your number three?
So I've gone for a friendship that was actually started before we get to see them in show, and can, continued through at least three actors who played one of the characters.
Oh,
And this, yeah, I'm going to go back to Deep Space Nine, and I'm going to go with Dax and Benjamin Sisko. And I've definitely left out a first name for Dax for a reason. Um, when we first meet these two, it is with the previous mentioned Julian Bashir. Um, when Jadzia Dax comes off a flight when she comes to start a job on DS9, and it's like, and Commander Cisco at the time calls her old man, and which seems very odd. And from what we get to see throughout the season, or especially early on, and what we know about Trills before, even though they were not of the spotted Trill variety, we knew they had symbionts and they could pass on their knowledge throughout the. Well, I was going to say species, but it's two species joined together, and you find out Curzon, so Dax previous Jadzia's or Dax's previous host before Jadzia was a mentor to Benjamin Sisko and friend, and then it was not quite. I was going to say almost the other way around. Benjamin Sisko sort of was a uh, there to help Jadzia, but also Dax was still there as a friend and a mentor at times for Ben Sisko. And then when we got to season seven, we got to see a new host, Esri, and this first thing we get to see her was her turn up at Benjamin Sisko's dad's restaurant and go, "I'm Dax," and as Jake said, and we even saw in Benjamin Sisko, he was glad to see her, and it was you. He that friendship there was like a bond to help him get along through what he was doing. And yeah, the number of conversations you see them throughout the seven seasons having together and to help each other was amazing. Whether that's the wedding of Worf and Jadzia, or actually any other for that matter. For me, that was I was absolutely nearly said number one pick, but it's not. It's one of the best ones out there. Any thoughts?
it was a lovely choice and actually one I had forgotten about and I hadn't thought about it as I was putting my list together. It would have gone into my top five. It would have knocked Luke and Han off the number five spot. I'm not saying it would have taken number five, but it definitely would have pushed Luke and Han out of the top five. No, lovely. Thank you. That was a great, pardon me, great pick. My number three, I'm gonna stick with Star Trek and go to the animated version of it and talk for a little moment about Boimler and Mariner, who are such a hilarious and lovely duo in Star Trek Lower Decks. Similar to another one of my picks before, they start off a little bit antagonistic with each other, not quite meshing. You know, you've got Boimler, who's this teacher's pet, for want of a better phrase, and Mariner, who's a rebel, just trying to muddle her way through her work and causing absolute chaos in her own way. And they actually gel and complement each other very, very nicely and very quickly become quite close friends. And again, you get to see their relationship grow, flourish, take little dips and troughs throughout the different series. I mean, you feel it getting better and better up until the end of season one, and then Mariner goes through a 3 episode sort of stint of hate Boimler because he abandons her for the Titan when he gets promoted. And as soon as he turns up, though, it's bye bye Jet. We don't want anything to know about you, Jet. It's all about Boimler again. My best friend's back. And again, it goes from strength to strength from there again too. So, yeah, they have their ups and downs through the 4.5 seasons that we've seen of Lower Deck so far, which just helps make that relationship feel a bit more real. And generally, it very much works for the both of them. They help and support each other in their own ways, a lot of the times without quite meaning to as well. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say. Just it couldn't be Lower Decks without Boimler and Mariner. That's absolutely for certain.
You must really like them because I'm pretty sure they were in your top 5 couples
They
list
were.
as well. So yeah, and yeah, that friendship and almost light and darks, yin and yang personalities is amazing throughout it, and yeah, I'm loving that. Even when I was getting down on Mariner just being a bit of not doing the same thing every time and not changing, that that relationship between them was so much fun and so enjoyable
And she does
there
start
for them.
changing eventually. It just takes her that little bit of time. It takes that first couple of seasons. Because you can see now in season 5 how she's like, if you compare season 1 Mariner to season 5 Mariner, you can see the stark difference in her now.
Yeah, yeah, between 1 and 5 you can. That's why you always need to see more from the series, either how the end or a long run of the characters to see it.
Oh, yeah. You're
And
right, because if you
yeah,
compare her
that
between season 1 and season 2, there's almost no change. Season 1 to season 3, there's a tiny change. Season 1 to season 4, you start to see a lot more. And then season 5 is, yeah, a lot happened in season 4 that really changed her perspective, I think. Yes. What about yours? What's your number 3?
two.
Oh, 2.
I've done my number
Yes. Sorry,
three.
you've
My
done your
number
number
three
3.
was
We're on to number
Jackson
2 now.
Benjamin Sisko.
Ah.
We are. So this is one that I have a feeling you may have picked, but I will find out soon.
Hmm.
And that is from a show that I've mentioned already, and that is Miles and Julian Bashir. So the ultimate friends, um, even more friends than Garrick and Bashir. These two could not stand each other for the first season and a half of seeing each other. You had this again naive Julian Bashir, who was also a little bit up his own backside when it comes to this. He was a little bit arrogant, going to this backwater location to do frontier medicine, and yeah, it's definitely, as probably Chief O'Brien has probably said, very he's a naive officer. It's like needs a good like NCO to point him in the right direction, and it
Yeah.
was yeah. Um, and it wasn't until like about halfway through season 1 where I think they had spent a couple of missions together, and they had that one where a mission where they were on a planet where they got tried to kill off. They had to deactivate this not nuclear weapon, but they had to help stop and get rid of the stockpiles of these planetary killing weapons from these two factions who wanted to join up. And then that group said anybody who's had any experience with these chemicals has to die. So nobody knows the knowledge. If they're going to try, they have to start again to gain this. And it was like they got rid of these, tried to get rid of O'Brien and Bashir, and they started to bond uh, over from there onwards, and slowly making their way through the season sevens to the dartboard. There's so many times on the dartboard uh, at Corks, as well as all the various programs, including the Battle of Britain on the holodeck. They had their I forgot what the battle was called, but this American cowboy and Indian type thing. I know that's probably not the best phrase nowadays, but it's you get what I mean when I do that, and I don't mean in any derogatory way. You had their this little tabletop thing, which is definitely not a toy. It is a something to be admired and looked at. That they as friends, this is the ultimate one of the ultimate friendships for me. I almost said the ultimate friendship, but it is one of the ultimate friendships in any of these franchises. So, my number two pick, Miles O'Brien and Julian Bashir, and I'd be interested to see what Olympus has to say.
Not much more than what you already have said. Definitely up there
Fair enough.
as one of the best friendships in Star Trek. Not in my top five though.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
They they were in it. But then when I was trying to rebalance things because I didn't want a repeat of the last episode where I did everything in one. um, so I forced a couple of Star Wars ones in there, and I'm not going to lie, I felt a little bit guilty about doing that because I've got at least three of my honourable mentions, which probably could have taken my fourth or fifth spots. So it flitted around a little bit, and yeah, O'Brien and Bashir were in there, but they got knocked off to save Star Wars some face. To be blunt.
Oh, it's disgraceful.
Mm.
Disgraceful.
I
But
feel
at
dirty. I
least we
feel
get
like
to
I've
talk
cheated.
about
I feel
different types.
like I've cheated on Star Trek Deep Space Nine now. I feel dirty.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like I've cheated on every other Star Trek franchise or series out there, to be honest.
Yeah, you've got a lot of DS9 picks. That's good
Yeah.
though. That's good.
And
It's
to
a
be
good show.
and to be honest, yeah, it's one of the reasons why I like it so much is because of the characters, the friendships, the aliens,
Yeah.
uh, amongst I nearly rolled off everything. We would have been here 10 hours later. So anyway, if your number two picks not O'Brien and Bashir, what is your number two pick?
Rutherford and Tandy.
Why does that not surprise me? They were back to back that last time.
They were, and if I remember right, Rutherford and Tandy were ahead of Boimler and Mariner last time as well. Um, where Boimler and Mariner are almost kind of polar opposites. Rutherford and Tandy are two peas in a pod. Um, they should be in a relationship. They should be in a romantic relationship, and they are not. And that's part of what makes it so funny. They have all this innuendo and sexual tension and all of these little moments that you're watching, which is just full of sparks and fireworks. And the pair of them are not actually meaning any of it. They're just being themselves and being good friends. And it's not like it's not like the writers haven't teased us as viewers with these characters on more than one occasion either. In the earlier seasons, I think it might actually have even been in season one, um, Rutherford is talking about, it might be episode two, Rutherford talks about going on a date and he heads off and Tendi, in fact, it was season two. I'm guys, go watch it and tell me where it was. But it was very early on. Rutherford goes off for a date or get to ready for a date or whatever after telling Tendi and Mariner about it. And Tendi's like talking to Mariner about how concerned she is, what's going on with Rutherford. And Mariner just cuts straight through it. And she's like, if you don't like Rutherford dating someone, you should tell him that. Which was brilliant because Tendi then blushes and pretty much runs away. Um, so that was one example. You know, you had all of the tension coming to the surface in the was it season four episode where they're on when they're on Ferenginar, basically doing some sightseeing for
Yeah.
Starfleet's brochure, and they are pretending to be a couple, and that quickly escalates with all this pressure from the Ferengi for them to be man and wife very publicly in lots of different ways, which is really really funny. And yeah, I could keep going, but there's so many examples that I talk about in that previous episode around couples. So definitely go back and watch that as well. Um, it's yeah, I'm going to stop waffling. I love them to bits. They were number two, then they were number one, then they were number two again, then they were number one, then they were number two again. It's kind of done that. But yeah, Rutherford and Tendi for the win. They need to get together. I love them.
Yeah, that is an awesome couple, awesome friendship, and a geek friendship between them.
Yeah,
Um, I would say it's not necessarily the first couple that should have friends that should have been a couple that we've had on our list. As I said, Garrick and O'Brien and Finn and Poe are almost, yeah, the fan fiction version of those two should be a couple, and then Chirrut and Bays are basically a married couple without being
a married couple. Yes,
a
you're right there.
couple. And
So have
and
we?
this one is actually,
So I'm sorry.
go on.
Have we just done the couples episode again, but called it friendships?
I think
I'm kind of
not
feeling
far
that.
off doing that. Yeah, I'm definitely getting the feeling for that. But yeah, Rutherford and Teddy is definitely the ones that it's like they've had the most innuendo of saying these two are together, but they're not together. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, drum roll for Ben's number one.
and these two should definitely be a married couple, to be honest.
Yeah,
And
this is a couples episode.
the,
I knew it. I called it.
yeah, and these are the first. I, I'm not going to say they're the first two you maybe see. Maybe they're in the top three first people you see in A New Hope, but they're definitely the first two that talk in A New Hope, and that's C3PO and R2D2. Uh, these two, they go together just like
Like
if you
peanut
could pick
butter
of
and
anything that
jelly,
go
if you're
together. These,
American.
yeah, yeah. So that just sounds disgusting. But I think I'm thinking jelly in a different way to what
Yeah.
Americans do, to be honest. So,
Yeah, you're
but
thinking jelly as in like the I think Americans call it jello, the sort of wibbly wobbly sweet stuff. Whereas yeah, so that's jelly to us. To Americans, jelly is what we call jam, which is a fruity spread. Um
yeah,
so, and by the way, I love peanut butter. I would never dream of putting jam on a peanut butter sandwich. That just sounds gross. Um,
that does.
but yeah, apparently,
But
peanut butter and jelly, I don't know, sausages in a roll. Um, let's think of examples of things that go well together. Rutherford and
Yeah.
Tendy. Um,
I was struggling as soon as I started to go for that metaphor. I was going, what goes well together, actually? Yeah. Cheese and bed, or strawberries and jam, and tomato ketchup and burgers,
cheese and crackers.
cheese and crackers,
I'm hungry
definitely.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, you got a sensible one, and you got the adventurous one. You've got C3O. 3PO always getting fed up with R2D2, but he's always keeping an eye out for him. Um, and probably the same the other way around. And very rarely do you see them. Oh, actually, I was about to say very rarely do you see them apart, but actually, there's probably more often than you think. Actually, at least I
Yeah,
first
you
thought.
do.
But
Especially when you
yeah,
encompass the other movies.
yes, yeah, but yeah, I suppose I was thinking of the original three films, but yeah, they are the power couple of Star Wars, and you see the films through those two's eyes, at least to start with, and I couldn't do without them, and their friendship just I think it's gonna last forever, um, and ever. It's I I haven't had much to actually say about them, but their continuous adventures through the franchises have been spectacular. Olympus, do you have anything to add to this? Because I haven't said much.
No, I don't. Dramatic pause while my brain
Well, it's,
processes. It's it's difficult to describe perfection in a friendship to the level that you have with those two characters. That's why I'm struggling so much. Again, you've
yeah,
got the almost what you would expect to be, and you do sometimes see it, that kind of clash in personalities. Pardon me, I know they're droids, but they do have personalities. But that clash, just like I guess in other ways with Boimler and Mariner, that class actually really suits their relationship and actually helps balance it out and keep each other right and on the right footing. And ultimately, even when they do have their fallouts, again, a little bit like an old married couple, they don't really mean it and they just want to be together. And you see that in A New Hope when R2 wanders off into the desert
go
in one
Tatooine.
direction. And yeah, exactly. R2 wanders off in one direction in Tatooine, and 3PO goes off in the other. Both of them in a strop with each other. And not 5 minutes later in the movie, I think, they come across each other X number of hours later on a sand dune, not a sand dune, on a sand
And
crawler,
Crawler.
and they're relieved to see each other. It's a lovely little reunion. It
Yeah.
just
And
describes their
three,
relationship right away in those beginning moments of that movie, I guess,
yeah,
in a
and
beautiful way.
C3. Yes, it does definitely, definitely. Sorry for interrupting you there.
No, it's
And
okay.
C3PO, when they get to the Skywalker uh, home, it says, actually, that one's malfunctioned. This one actually is very good. This droid here,
Some
and
together.
manages to keep them together. And yeah, and I was looking from the list actually. There's so many, not quite all of them, but there's so many opposites when it comes to friendships in this. Whether that's Bonner and Mariner, O'Brien and Bashir. Um, you got Garrick and Bashir as well. Sheraton Bays to a bit. Maybe as well. Luke and Han, a little bit. Cisco, probably a little bit as well. Um, and yeah, they are complete, yeah, complete opposites. And I suppose, if you dig deep into it, Rutherford and Tendy to agree, you have this go faster person who likes the cars but has gone into a bit more of a sensible role, and Tendy who is this bossy leader or partial leader of a high position person in her family and on her planet, just getting to know each other through their geekdom and their joys as well.
Best way to get to know someone.
Anyway, definitely.
Yeah.
What about your number one pick?
So I can't believe you don't have, in the same way that you can't believe that I didn't have O'Brien and Bashir, I can't believe you don't have these two. Um, and I'll introduce them by talking briefly about a scene where I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes down. Aye, that's what it is. One of them walks into the room and has a conversation with the other, who is in the middle of painting. He's painting something on a canvas. And the ultimate the ultimate end of the joke that comes out of it is about a blind man teaching an android how to paint. So that tells you right away. I'm talking about Data and Geordi from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Another sixth pick.
Sixth pick. There you go. See, I knew it would be somewhere. Their relationship, again, in other similar scenarios that we've talked about through this episode, their relationship starts off slowly. You don't see much of it in the beginning episodes or the beginning season, and it's something which obviously gets written in and developed slowly over time. I think by the time we get into season 3, it's very much there, and it grows and continues from that point. And Geordie is very much there to help and support Data in his consistent quest to become more human, to understand, let's call it the human condition, and to try and emulate through that understanding human behaviors and human direction and that kind of thing. And you, I was going to say something that's gone out of my head. You really, yeah, I would say you really miss a key moment, because you see this relationship, this friendship developing and building up through all the different seasons of the Next Generation. You see that friendship at its height in Generations, the movie, which has just recently celebrated 30 years. Woo! Um,
Hey.
where Geordi is once again trying to explain humor to Data, who gets it totally wrong, and at that point, Data decides to use his emotion chip for the first time, and that goes pretty wrong pretty quick, and he has to learn the hard way how to deal with emotions. So actually, it all works out kind of the way it should have. So you have Geordie
Yeah, he
helping him
hasn't had
through all
20,
of that.
30 years to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get to Nemesis. And spoiler alert, though, come on, the movie's like 20 odd, more than 20 years old. So if you've not watched it, go watch it.
No, it came out when I
Data's,
was young, so it can't be that old.
well, Generations is 30.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure that came out when I
Nemesis,
was young as well, and
so
can't believe
Nemesis,
I can't be that old.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be
No,
the bearer of bad
I'm not that
news.
old. Shh, shh, I'm not the.
um, but
Sorry, go
Nemesis,
on.
it's just cool. In Nemesis, and again, it just shows how elements of that movie were rushed. You have this big impact of Data's death with Picard, but it should have been bigger still with Geordi. And you don't get that. It's one of the big things about that movie that I don't like. And I do like Nemesis for certain elements and aspects. It's not the best movie in the world, but it is watchable, and I do like the general way it goes. The CGI is amazing, etc. But they miss that, and I think it's a big miss, which is a shame. But they rectify it with Picard season 3 in a beautiful way. And if there's one thing about Picard season 3, and by the way, there's loads of things in Picard season 3 that really hit hit you hard and tug on those emotional heartstrings. One of the big ones for me is them fixing that what they missed in Nemesis with Geordie and Data. They do it beautifully and bring it all back to life. I had tears in my eyes. So that is my number one, Data and Geordie. Um, and oh my word, I mean, there were so many honourable mentions that I could go through, but I have kept my list to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've capped it at 7. Um, but before we get into honourable mentions, Ben, do you want to sort of summarise your top 5? Now summarise my top 5.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So from Rogue One, I've got Turret and Baze. From Deep Space Nine, I've got Garrick and Bashir. From Deep Space Nine again, Dax and Cisco, or Dax and Benjamin Cisco. From Deep Space Nine again, surprise, O'Brien and Julian Bashir. And then from the whole Star Wars nearest, damn it. Probably apart from Solo, you got C3PO and R2D2. What is your top 5?
Before we go into my top 5, I was thinking there for a second. It was like, so then what about Rogue One? But actually, they are in Rogue One. We do get to see them in that.
Nobody
That was a
tells
lovely
us
little.
anything.
No, yeah, nobody tells us anything. They say standing there as all the ships take off. Um, Absolutely loved that little cameo. Right, my top 5. So number 5, I had Luke and Han. In number 4, Finn and Poe, and there ends my Star Wars contingent. Number 3, Boimler and Mariner from Star Trek Lower Decks. Number 2 was Rutherford and Tendi from Star Trek Lower Decks. And number 1, because that relationship is a bond that will never, ever, ever break, no matter what, is Data and Geordie from Star Trek The Next Generation. Honourable mentions, in no particular order, I have Janeway and Tuvok. And you get to see,
Definitely worth it.
because yeah, definitely, because that they've got a relationship, this friendship from before the start of the show, and you get to see where they are with that at the start of Voyager, and then see that progress. And again, it's got its own ups and downs. Picard and Q, if you can call that much for friendship, which I think in a weird random Q way you can. Picard and Guinan, which I wish they explored so much more than they did, but I can understand why they didn't, because it kept an air of mystery and this wise persona on Guinan that she might have lost had they explored that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I'd like that mystery to it.
Definitely. Brian and Bashir, which we've already talked about. Tom Paris and Harry Kim from Voyager.
On my list, and that was close to being in the top 5 as well.
Likewise, the Doctor and Seven of Nine, again from
Yeah.
Voyager. So there's a couple of there's a couple of 3 Voyager picks through that, and my last one I'm going to go back to Lower Decks. I mention Shax and Kira. Who you really get to see their relationship and their friendship come to life when we visit Deep Space Nine in Lower Decks. Again, that's season 3 or season 4, I think.
Yeah, I forgot about
Um,
that.
yeah, I love that. They spend the entire episode bickering with each other like an old married couple. Seems to be a trait that we've liked when it comes to picking the friendships.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, can't argue with you on that one. Even though most of these friendships would probably argue with each other on it, but
They
yeah,
would.
dish. So my long list. Sorry, I'm going to try to keep it to a short list. But I said to you previously, when you said last night that you had yours locked in, I said
Yes.
I forgot my 12 locked in, um, and I'll try to go through at least some of those. So we've said Kim and Paris already. I got Nog and Jake Sisko as well.
Oh yes.
We've got Yeah. The only thing that stopped me putting that in was you didn't notice their friendship quite as much towards the end of Deep Space Nine, even though it was there a lot early on in the series. You have Han Solo and Chewbacca,
Of course.
and you've got the friendship that shouldn't be a friendship, which is Jonathan Archer and Shran from Enterprise. You just, how the heck are they getting along and helping each other? They're constantly doing each other favors just to get the other one to do them a favor.
It's their mutual frustration with Vulcans that brings those two together.
Oh, yeah, to be honest, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, friendship through the Vulcan middlemen. I'm thinking about Vulcan, or at least a half Vulcan. You got Kirk and Spock.
Yep.
Um, you got Archer and Tucker.
Hmm.
That's another friendship that was there before. Um, I've got Ray and Finn as well, but that's probably not as strong as Finn and Poe in my opinion. And you got the other half relative. You got Michael Burnham and Sylvia Tilly, who were great partnership throughout. And yes, I did have Guinan and Picard there as a friendship as well. Um, and do you want to guess the scores on the doors?
Star Trek's one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
they are
think
six.
six. No,
Sorry.
sorry, only go.
Yeah, I sort of half gave it away there, to be honest, because there's only two of us. And it's, yeah, they won 6-4. I did have a tiebreaker just in case, and that was C3PO and R2D2 who got the majority of the votes on that one. Um, I can't remember who I had in it now as well, but I know I had Han Solo and Chewbacca. Um, and if you want to find this, this is a in my community tab on YouTube at TrekWars and Fantasy. So, Olympus, do you have anything to say before we sign off?
Not too much apart from thank you for continuing to do these with me because I really do enjoy them, Ben. And thank you to
Same.
everyone taking the time to watch these. Please like and subscribe. Please comment below as well. Get involved in these conversations. Share with us your top 5 friendships across the Star Trek and Star Wars franchise, and let's get that conversation rolling. You can find me in a variety of places. You'll see in the info below. Same with Ben, where if you're watching on YouTube, you're already on the the Trek Wars and Fantasy YouTube page, where you'll see a lot of our content, and Ben does a lot of additional content here as well, which is well worth a look. So please do so. And a special point out that both of us now have Blue Sky accounts. So if you are on Blue Sky, give us a follow over there. I'm finding it a much more calm, chill, zen area compared to a former Twitter locale, which seems to be going more toxic by the day. But let's not get into that just now. That aside, nothing else apart from I'm looking forward to the next episode that we've got coming up, and also the next review for Lower Decks, which will be out potentially by the time this is out, actually. I'm not going to say much more on that because I always get my timelines confused.
Yeah, we should have, when this is out, we should have just released our next episode or last episode on Lower Decks. If not, it is going to be in five 5 days for, I think, 6 days for our next one. So it'll be on the first day of each week, which for the UK people that might end up being very late on in the day, because we try to get it out as soon as.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cool. If that's everything, thank you all again.
Yes,
May
it
the
is.
fourth be with you.
May the force be with you.